Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here and also a little bit nervous. So please, please forgive my excuse. So I tried, especially after Teymur and Ellen, after these two great presentations, it's really difficult to make a great presentation, but you can be sure that I'll do my best. So this is the title of my presentation. But as I said just now, I do not claim to make perfect presentation, but I'll do my best. So I will start with some general information about Turkey. As you can see, our geographic location is really interesting, just in between Asia, Europe, and Africa. And this geographical location has many advantages as well as disadvantages. And I will talk a little bit about these disadvantages in next slides. So I will come back. So our population is 85 million, and Turkey is the 19th largest economy in the world with a GDP of roughly $1 trillion. And Turkey is a member of OECD and G20, and I think this is also important, increasingly important donor of the official development assistance. And as you can see on the right side of the screen, on the democracy index, we are not really good. Actually, we are terrible. I can say that. Just 6 steps above the authoritarian regime. So they say Turkey is a hybrid regime, but we can say actually it's an authoritarian regime. And elections are often not free and fair, we all know. And the population of Istanbul, actually these three is major biggest three cities, and Istanbul is more than 50 million. And with a population 50 million residents, Istanbul is more crowded than 131 countries, including Belgium, Greece, Switzerland, Austria, and Bulgaria. So at this point, yeah, this is beautiful. Istanbul, actually, these photos are not directly related with the presentation, of course. But since I'm talking about geographical location, I would like to mention the beauty of Istanbul, and it's accessible for everyone. Actually, one of my personal motivation for Istanbul is make the city meeting and connection hub for international community. And this HIV Istanbul conferences, which we organize third time this year, is a part of this vision. Some of you already know, and some of you already participate. And maybe we can talk about it a bit later in coffee breaks. So, Turkey has been home to the highest number of refugees for the past 8 years. And I will not going to read all the numbers you can read, but you remember I mentioned the location and its advantage and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is that it's located in the center of migration flows and in the periphery of political instability. And it makes Turkey gives Turkey a kind of unique position, but also it's a reason to be some stigma and discrimination in daily life also. So some general information about HIV/AIDS data. This graph is cumulative and comes from the Department of Infectious Disease. I cannot say that this is a perfect data, but it gives an idea about the general course. We clearly see this steep curve over the years. So this graph, pardon. This is important, but not time yet. Yeah. So age groups, genders, and transmission routes. But I'm going to talk about that for the moment because it's also part of stigma and discrimination in daily life. For example, until about 4 or 5 years ago, the medicines of everyone under the social security umbrella were included the reimbursement system. However, currently, the system only pays for the treatment of those who prove that they have been diagnosed with HIV in Turkey. There is a reason for that, because there was a kind of discussion. Some people were being really unhappy that they're saying why the government and state paying for the non-Turkish citizens, and they changed the rule. And I think this is a really good example of stigma and discrimination in daily life, because they are not from us in the people's eyes, and they say we don't want to pay, and then government change the rule. So I will read about it. So this this study published in PLOS ONE, modeling the future of HIV in Turkey. They developed a dynamic complemental model of HIV transmission and progression among the Turkish population. And the aim of the study was to determine the incidence of prevalence HIV in Turkey over the next 20 years. And now you can see all the numbers. If we can't do anything, the numbers will be really crazy. And actually, no one's do nothing. And of course, it affects the stigma and discrimination in daily life. And it's English. If anybody interested with this kind of modeling, I can share it because I think it's an important study that shows how important and functional modeling studies can be a place where there is no reliable data. So that's why I think that's why this is important. So I will mention another study, and I will give some examples about stigma and discrimination in daily life. So the year of the study, which was conducted with heterosexual and homosexual men with HIV, is 2019. So they made a total 100 interviews with 50 heterosexual and 50 homosexual men, and you can see all the scales what they used, and some outputs from the study. So of course, I mean, you all this kind of things are familiar, but this can give an idea how people living with HIV, what kind of stigma and discrimination they experience in daily life. So HIV-positive homosexual men who have experienced discrimination have lower self-esteem than those who have not experienced discrimination. Depression and anxiety symptom levels of HIV-positive heterosexual men who have been exposed to stigmatization are higher than those who have not been exposed to stigmatization. Those who blame themselves for being HIV-positive exhibit higher depressive symptoms and experience more dissociative experience than those who do not blame themselves. I think the last one is really interesting. HIV-positive and married men exhibit higher levels of anxiety symptoms than HIV-positive single men. Concern about disclosure and the breakdown of marital integrity, fear of judgment and family losses affect daily life and the quality of life experienced. And yeah, I will end my presentation by giving a few examples from the July, August, September 2023 issue of the 3 months rights violation from the Positive Living Association, our sister organization. These are facts that you have heard many times, familiar with, but I would like to share them in order to know what people living with HIV experience in Turkey in 2023, and it can be an example for the region. The Sports Center provided almost 200 legal counseling in 3 months, and 81 of them were reported as a high rights violation. I think it's really interesting number. The advisee who told her HIV status through hospital she had previously agreed with for an operation she would undergo was told the operation could not be performed because she is positive. When the advisee was diagnosed with HIV, he voluntarily shared his HIV status with his employer and terminated his employment contract after a while. I mean, it's all happenings really openly, you know. I mean, they're not hiding anything. They're just directly saying that you're HIV positive and you cannot work with us. So a few years ago, all thing was a bit, you know, they were always playing with the words, but now environment is really suitable for this kind of behaviors, and everything's happening openly. So the advisee disclosed his HIV status during the consultation, then was subject to discriminatory remarks by the physician, and the physician then refused treatment. Let's read the last one. The advisee against whom a divorce case was filed stated in the statement a claim that his HIV status was disclosed in the relevant documents and insulted on the basis of status information, and that is that his HIV status was disclosed to his relatives. Just remember the 2-3 slides before I was talking about this marital integrity. And so at this point, with your permission, I would like to end with a quote, but I have a few words about that actually. I think the most fundamental reason for stigma and discrimination in HIV and all issues is that we do not give each other opportunity to be ourselves. And this is my opinion, of course, but we can talk about that if you want. And at this point, I would like to put this of us here, that is ourselves, under the spotlight, and I would like to ask you, make an honest internal assessment in your daily lives about whether you accept everyone as they are, without exception, regardless of who and what they are. I mean, this can be your husband, friend, children, neighbor, your politician, anybody. I mean, generally, we're always thinking that we're kind of victim of stigma and discrimination, but sometimes we are also doing that without any... we assume that we're not doing it, but generally we're also doing that. So this is really a honest question, and I think really important, because a direct answer to this question will determine whether we can end stigma and discrimination primarily in our lives. And it's apparent that if we do not end these problems in our own lives, we will not be able to set an example for the others. Because our responsibility as activists and advocates is not to tell people how to do things, but to live that way. So let's read together. The fact that millions of people share the same mistakes does not turn these mistakes into virtues. Just because they share so many mistakes does not make them real. And just because millions share the same forms of mental pathology does not mean these people are sane. So our responsibility to be sane person, actually, this is what I believe. This is what I'm trying. So not to tell people you have to be sane, but I have to be sane, and I have to be a good example for my family, friends, and society. So thank you so much for the attention.